Hello, wonderful person watching this video. Welcome to my oral presentation for modules 5 and 6. Like my previous video, this presentation is inspired by the concept of Draw My Life. However, today we're also going to perform a system update. Do not worry though, this update should not take more than 5 minutes, which is already more honestly than most computers. But for this presentation, I'm calling my story Draw My Democracy. A system update is not the same as a system change. Usually, when an update reaches 100%, I expect everything to be fixed. The computer restarts, the screen looks slightly different, and some of the buttons move around for no reason. But what happens when the screen changes while the same harmful programs continue running underneath? Before studying modules 5 and 6, I mostly understood the 1986 People Power Revolution as a clear ending. Ferdinand Marcos was removed from power, political prisoners were released, and democracy returned. In my head, it looked like the final scene of a movie. People were celebrating, the music were coming alive, and the words, the end, appear across the whole entire screen. Then, modules 5 and 6 basically took an eraser and removed the N. They taught me that removing a dictator does not automatically remove the institutions and habits that allowed abuse to happen. A new leader can change the appearance of government without, fear, inequality, military violence, and a lack of accountability. And this gave me one main question I asked myself. Was democracy truly installed, or did the country only receive a new home screen? Lino Brocco's film, Ora Pro Nobis, follows Jimmy Cordero, a former priest, political prisoner, and revolutionary. After the dictatorship falls, Jimmy is released from prison. He marries Trixie and begins working as a human rights advocate. Instead of immediately returning to armed struggle, Jimmy tries to work through a peaceful reform. He investigates abuses and attempts to use the new democratic institutions that are supposed to protect the Filipino people. To me, Jimmy represents hope. He believes that justice may finally be possible without repeating the violence of the past. In computer terms, Jimmy gives the new operating system a chance, but unfortunately, the system keeps sending error messages. Jimmy and Roland travel to investigate violence in all the rural communities. There, they discover the Ora Pro Nobis, a vigilante group led by Commander Contra. The group terrorizes villagers while receiving help or protection from people connected to the military. This creates one of the film's strongest contradictions, which the government is supposed to protect its people, but yet powers connected to the government helps the violence continue. The military uniform and the vigilante clothing may look different, but the shadow behind them is the same, and it is power without accountability. The villagers cannot safely speak, or stay, or even leave. If they say anything, they can be accused of helping rebels. If they remain silent, the abuse still continues. Their fear shows that democracy means very little when ordinary people cannot use their voices without becoming targets. The conflict becomes personal when Jimmy reconnects with Esper and discovers that Camilo is his son. Jimmy is no longer involved only as a human rights advocate. He is also a father, a husband, and a person trying to protect two parts of his life. Even after learning the truth about Camilo, Jimmy still refuses to return to the underground movement. He wants to believe that the peaceful reform can work. However, the violence surrounding him slowly enters his personal life. Roland is killed. Esper, Camilo, and all the other villagers are later killed by the Ora Pro Nobis. This showed me that political violence never remains only inside government offices or military operations. Eventually, it enters people's homes. They separate families, and they leave behind empty spaces that no investigation can completely look into. Jimmy's family picture does not fall apart because the people stopped caring for one another. It falls apart because a violent system was allowed to reach them. By the end of the film, Jimmy's trust in the government collapses. After experiencing repeated violence and loss, he connects back with his former companion from the underground movement. The film does not give us a comfortable victory, but instead, it leaves Jimmy at a painful moral crossroads. Returning to violence is not presented as a simple or perfect answer. However, the movie asks what happens when someone repeatedly tries peaceful institutions, but those institutions fail to protect the people he loves. That question gave the film its strongest ethical meaning. Violence creates more violence, but ignored justice also has consequences. When leaders allow abuse to continue, they create anger with everyone, hopelessness with everyone else, and a society where people stop believing that peaceful change is possible. As a computer science student, I connected this lesson to the way systems are designed. A program can have a clean interface while broken code continues running underneath. Changing a logo, the colors, or the person using the administrator account does not repair the entire architecture. Apparently, changing the wallpaper does not fix the motherboard. Very disappointing though. But in the same way, democracy cannot be measured only through elections, speeches, constitutions, or the name of the president. We always have to look behind the screen. Are ordinary people safe? Can they criticize those in power? Are victims being heard? Are officials held responsible when they abuse their authority? As a Filipino and Ilocano student living in Hawaii, this lesson reminded me that being proud of Filipino history means facing its painful and unfinished parts, not only celebrating its victories. Ora Po Nobis is not just entertainment. Lino Brocka uses film to challenge the official image of democracy and prevents the experiences of victims from being forgotten. The movie also asks viewers what they will do after witnessing injustice. Remembering is not passive. It should affect what we question, what we accept, and whose voices we choose to hear. Overall, Modules 5 and 6 taught me that democracy is not a one-time update. Removing a dictator matters, but real change also requires truth, human rights, the justice that we all want, and accountability, and also just our memories, and as citizens who refuse to treat abuse as normal. The next time we hear that we have an election, revolution, or new leaders have fixed a new country, we should look beyond the celebration. We should ask whether people with the least power are actually safer, and whether those with the most power are being held responsible. So, I'm going to leave this final update waiting. The necessary files are ready: truth, justice, accountability, memory, and citizen participation. But I am not going to click the button. Pause here for 2 or 3 seconds, because the film's final question now belongs to all of us. And that is, the screen may say that democracy has been installed, but who will make sure that the old program stops running?